Hi everyone, this is Neha Bhalla, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and welcome back to my channel Sans Global Immigration. You are applying for your citizenship application and you are worried about the PCC requirements, whether the police clearance certificate is required to be submitted or not required in your case. In this video, we're going to discuss about the PCC requirements specifically for citizenship applications. Because PCC requirement for the IRCC varies from application to application. So the PCC which is required at the time of express entry application or Canadian experience class application requirements, that may not be the same in other immigration applications. So similarly, PCC requirement is different in case of citizenship application, whether it is required or not. So let's discuss this today. So before starting the video, one more thing that I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and I operate from Mississauga, Ontario. And also, if you want to stay updated with the regular IRCC updates and such other topics, then please do consider subscribing my channel. Now, without wasting any time, let's jump to our video. So first we're going to talk about the police certificate thing, like when do we need to provide the police clearance certificate, in what situation, and from which all countries we are required to provide the PCC. So the first important thing is that first people get confused that do they require PCC from Canada while applying for the Canadian Citizenship Application? So the answer is no, that you do not require any police clearance certificate from Canada for your application. So now talking about other countries, from which all countries do you require a PCC and do you really require it, in what circumstances? So first let us see these three situations. If these three conditions are met, then you need to provide a PCC from that country. So the thing is that you need to provide a police certificate from each of the country other than Canada if these three conditions are met. First is that it should be in the past 4 years, that you have stayed for 183 days or more in a row continuously since the age of 18. So you only need to provide PCC from a country if you have lived there in the previous 4 years, like you are filing your application, you are signing your application today. So in the immediate 4 years, you have lived in that particular country for more than 183 days continuously in a row, and that too since the age of 18. So if this condition is met, then you have to provide the PCC for that particular country. Otherwise not. Like if you stayed in a country for just 2 months, then it is not required. So the condition is 183 days and that too continuously, right? Like if you stayed for for say suppose 100 days in a row, then after that some gap, and then after that you lived again 100 days, then also it is not required. It should be 183 days or more continuous stay. Then you need to provide a PCC from that particular country. Also, there is one exception to this rule, is that you don't need to provide a police clearance certificate if within this time period of 4 years you were in a country of origin where you were born, basically, which is your country of origin. If you were in your country of origin immediately prior to becoming a permanent resident and landing in Canada, so then you are not supposed to provide PCC for that particular country. Suppose you are from India and before becoming a PR you were in India, and on completion of 3 years you are applying for your citizenship application. So you were in your country of origin immediately prior to becoming the PR and landing in Canada, and this time falls within the 4 years. So in this scenario, you don't need to provide the PCC. So now let's talk about few examples. I can give you few examples and few situations where we can see whether you are required to give a PCC or not in that particular situation. And also after discussing some examples, we'll move to the validity part, like what is the validity of such PCC. Suppose you have already obtained a PCC, so whether it is valid right now while you are applying for your application, or it has expired. So let's take the first example. Suppose your country of origin is India, say, and before you become a PR, before you became a permanent resident like 3 years ago, you lived for suppose say 365 days, 1 year in any other country. Say you stayed in Germany. So you were for 1 year in Germany, and suppose that after you became a permanent resident, you did not travel to Germany again. So in this case, the country where you were immediately before becoming a PR was not your country of origin, right? You were in some other country, and it falls within the bracket of 4 years period. So for that particular country, you would require to give a PCC, right? So now let's move to one more example. Suppose you became a permanent resident 3 years and 9 months ago. So in the past 4 years, say, suppose you went to Brazil for 3 months, and before you became a PR, and then you returned to Brazil to visit for 4 months, that is 120 days after you became a PR. So 90 days before PR and 120 days after PR. So in this scenario, you would not need to provide a police certificate from Brazil, because you did not spend 183 days or more in a row in Brazil. You did not stay over there continuously. If it was a continuous stay, you would require a PCC. Let's move to one more example. Suppose in the past 4 years, you took 10 trips of USA, and each trip lasted like 3 weeks. 10 trips of 3 weeks. So it would be around 210 days. So in this situation also, no PCC required. Why? Because it was not a continuous stay, right? It was a stay of like 3 weeks. So not a continuous stay. So no PCC required. Let's take an example of India, your home country. Say you became a permanent resident, and after before applying for your citizenship application, in the immediate 4 years, you went to your home country, India, and you stayed there for like more than 183 days continuously. So you were there for 7 to 8 months. So now you are back to Canada and you're filing your application for citizenship. So in this scenario, you would need a PCC because you have stayed over there more than 183 days continuously, that is in a row, and that too within the 4 year time frame. So yes, PCC is required in this situation. Now let's move to the another section of our video, which is the validity of the police clearance certificate. Like, when is your PCC, till when is your PCC valid? So for your police clearance certificate to be valid, right, there are two conditions. So first is that it must be issued either after the last time you were in that country, or the another condition is no more than 6 months before you sign your citizenship application. So to explain this, let me take another example. Suppose you went to India last year, and you thought that I will go back to Canada and apply my citizenship application. So let me obtain a PCC while I'm in India right now only. So suppose you stayed in India from January 2021 to June 2021. July 2021. So that will be more than 183 days. So suppose you stayed for this Jan to July period. So you thought, let me take the PCC now only to save the hassle of getting the PCC later on. So suppose in July you applied for PCC and your PCC issue date shows some date of June, say 28th June. But you left country after July, right? So there were additional days you stayed in India for which you do not have the PCC. So now this PCC is valid for 6 months. From June 25th, that is your issue date, it will be valid for the next 6 months. So if you within these 6 months you apply for your citizenship application, then it would be fine. Otherwise, this PCC will expire. Right? So now in this case, you have to obtain a new PCC. So after the time you visit the country. So I hope now the PCC conditions, the validity of PCC and the different situations I've explained you, it is much more clear. It gives you a clarity as to whether you need a PCC from a specific country for your citizenship application or not. And in case you already have a PCC from that country, is it valid now, or do you require to obtain it again? So guys, if you liked my video and it really helped you, then please do like my video, and also don't forget to subscribe my channel. I will definitely come up with such other more videos giving you such more information. And also our company SANS Global Immigration offers immigration and citizenship services. So for any kind of applications, PR application, work permit, study permit, citizenship applications, you can get back to us on the below number. Thank you so much.